Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tory Burch Foundation webinar series for small business owners. I'm Gabrielle Raymond McGee, the Chief Operating Officer of the Tory Burch Foundation, and we're so excited to return for our fall webinar series. The whole purpose of this series is to offer you guidance and support as you navigate these really complex and difficult times. And we want to thank you so much for all of your feedback on what topics you might like to see in the future, because based on that feedback, we now have our schedule for the fall live on torybirchfoundation.org. So check that out. We are literally covering, I think, every topic you can imagine. So everything from how to create and craft and send the best, most impactful emails for your business, how to create the very best website for your business, what it means to become a woman-owned certified business, and we're going to walk you through step-by-step that kind of intimidating process and hopefully demystify the fear around it. We're also going to have a whole Ask Me Anything for all of your most pressing financial questions, and we know we all have big financial questions right now. So we're covering a lot, but today I'm so excited to kick off this fall series on the topic that everyone wants to know more about, which is how do I scale my business through digital PR right now? And we're very fortunate to be here with Jamillah Ramad, who is a brilliant digital public relations strategist and coach. She's the founder of Befriend Your Brand. She's worked with everyone from celebrity chefs to comedians to book publishers to angel investors, you name it, she's worked with them. But her real mission and purpose is to support small business owners. So Jamillah, welcome. Thank you so much for carving out time and being here today.
I'm so excited to be with you all today. Thank you for having me.
And Jamillah, we know this is a crazy time right now with the election, COVID, movements happening. We know everyone on this call is going to be voting in this election, so we'll see you at the polls. But as far as PR, there's so much struggle around how to get your story out there as a small business. So I'm so excited to learn from you today. And I know you're gonna talk us through step by step and remove all that fear and anxiety that we all have on this topic. And after Jamillah's presentation, we're gonna take time for questions. So know that we will do our very best to answer as many questions as possible. So make sure that you type your questions in the Q&A chat box below, and we'll pick based on the topic that we see popping up the most. And while we wish that we were with you in person today, but we're not. And so we wanna make sure that we see you. So please, I'm gonna do it right now. Please snap a photo and tag at Tory Burch Foundation for a chance. I see Jamillah's also snapping a photo, love it, for a chance to be featured on our Instagram stories. And maybe you have a furry coworker that's in the background. I know my dog, Mr. Livingston, is always around here and always excited for our webinars. So include them too, and we'll look forward to seeing you. I think we hit on everything. One more note before we dive in is we're gonna be able to share Jamillah's slides. We're gonna link in our YouTube. So for those of you that like to take copious notes, know that you can just be present and really take this all in because we'll be linking to Jamillah's slides after this session. So without further ado, Jamillah, over to you.
Yay, I'm super excited to get this started. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you all. There we go. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so hey everyone, I am super excited to connect with you all. My name is Jamillah. I'm a digital PR strategist. I'm the owner of Befriend Your Brand, a digital PR consulting agency. My zone of genius is helping you to tell better stories about your products and your services. Today, we're talking about digital PR for entrepreneurs. And just a little bit about me. I have almost 15 years of experience in public relations and marketing, meaning that I started my career in PR at the same time that Facebook launched. So I have known the world of marketing and PR before it became digital. And over the years, I have picked up some really key tactics to bridge the gap between technology and the digital world and getting people to know about your business in real life. Back in the day, I remember my very first corporate PR gig before emails and social media were really a thing. I remember sending out hundreds of faxes. I'd literally stand at a fax machine for over an hour, sending out media advisories and press releases, because 15 years ago, people didn't really check their emails on a regular. The digital world hadn't taken place. And even then, years after that, as a publicist at a PR firm, I remember when social media first started and people weren't checking their emails on a regular, I would be making on the upwards of 50 calls a day to journalists, trying to get them to say yes to my pitch, whatever the company was looking to, secure as far as publicity. And that takes a lot of work. And I am so glad that technology has evolved, that business has evolved, because especially for us small business owners, it isn't necessary to go that hard in promoting your business now that we have the ability to leverage technology, because now business and media are both held online. So let's get into what that world looks like. I'm gonna put on my granny specs for you all. Okay, so overall, if you're thinking about traditional PR, I want you all to reframe your thinking about traditional PR, because the things that you think about traditional PR aren't necessarily true today. Traditional PR was mainly based around television, radio, newspapers, and people, in order to be successful, one thing that you probably would have to do is stand at a fax machine for hours, or you'd have to make calls until you had no more voice. But that's not true anymore. News, media, business, they are all now happening online. Now you have the power to be your own media outlet. Now you have the opportunity to speak directly to your public. The World Wide Web and social media have given us the ability to build our own buzz and to have an easier time doing it. So let's take a pause for the cause. And I just want you guys to take a moment to think back so that we can get out of the old thinking of traditional PR. Where right now are you getting your news from? And how are you listening to media? And think about it. What types of television are you watching? What do you have on your TV? So think back 5 years ago, think back 10 years ago, and if you can, think back 20 plus years ago, and think about how drastically how we consume media has changed. So with that being said, you have to know how to change things for your business and no longer move in the way of traditional PR, which was based around television, radio, newspapers, and printed media like magazines. So think back, and now let's start moving forward with that. So what we're going to talk about today, and what I want to be sure that we cover, is how to find media opportunities, how to pitch for those opportunities, and how to leverage the digital world to build your brand awareness using, digital tools and social media. I want you to walk away with my top 3 strategies for navigating digital PR for your business. Now let's start by covering the basics. Now, when we're talking about digital media, you may say, what is digital public relations? Why do I need this in my business? And overall, digital public relations is the promotional strategy behind getting your business noticed by more people online. It is the strategy of developing how the public becomes aware of your business. Now, this can include your social media, strategic partnerships, influencer relationships, hosting virtual events like webinars like we're doing today. All of this is your digital public relations. It's online how you relate to the public. So let's talk about, with all of that, how do you build a buzz for your business? In order to build a buzz, you need to think about the different types of media that are available to you and the different types of media that are going to help your business grow, that are going to scale. And there are 3 types. There's your own media, your earned media, and your paid media. Just let me explain. So when we talk about your own media, this is your self-produced content. This is the content that you create and you distribute to the public. This could include your social media posts. This could include your website, your email list, your newsletters, anything that you create and then you send out to the public, anything that you create and you want the public or media outlets to see about you. The next is your earned user-generated content. Now, earned media can be things like podcasts. It could be things like bloggers writing and bragging about your products or services, or it could be customer reviews on Yelp and Google. It is someone else's perspective and someone else's take, someone else telling your story. This is what your earned user-generated content is. And the next type of media that you need to be aware of is your paid media. I know that there's going to be a ton of questions about this, but let's get it clear. What is paid media? Paid media is when you pay for advertising with media outlets or with social media platforms. This could be podcast sponsorships. So if you listen to podcasts as much as I do, it could very well be, you know, when you're listening to a podcast and it says, hey, we're going to take a break to listen to our sponsors. That is paid sponsorship. Paid influencers, working with people who can use their audience to spread your brand awareness and your brand messaging. And then, of course, there's social media ads, the traditional things that you're used to, YouTube ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, your paid social media. And this is the content that someone distributes on your behalf. And we'll get more into this, but owned, earned, and paid are all 3 different lanes, but they're all very valuable in different ways. So I want us to kick things up a notch just a little bit. Let's dive into the strategies behind building up your digital PR strategy, building up a digital campaign for your business. So first, I want you guys to get clear on what it is you're doing. If you're looking for opportunities, it is very important that you know why you're looking for opportunities. So in that, you should be asking yourself these 4 questions to determine if you should be using owned media, earned media, or paid media. So looking at the first question, are you pitching for customers or for funding? When it comes to pitching with the goal of making money, like, let's just be honest, okay? Like, can we keep it real, y'all? Okay, to be honest, we are small business owners and we want more eyeballs on our business because we want to make money. That's what we're in business for at the end of the day. But if you can get clear on this intention, then you can have great success in paid media. If you want to pay to have more eyeballs on your business so that when you're paying for this, you get the opportunity to communicate the kind of messaging, the kind of images that you want this new audience to know about and to learn, that is when you should engage in paid media. And then ask yourself the questions of, are you most interested in getting your message out, or are you most interested in creating like a behavior change or a change in how people think about your business or your brand or what it is that you offer? If you answer yes to this, and if you're most interested in educating people or getting them to change something that they do or the way that they think, then you want to put your efforts toward owned media. Now, owned media is your self-produced content. And with your own media, this gives you the opportunity to really go deep with educating people about your business, educating people about why or how or what. Your own media is what helps superpower your earned media. So if you have really great content, if you have education that you're giving to people, people are going to want to share that. And that's what gets you the earned content. And it's organic in that nature for getting user-generated content. And then if you are interested in alerting the public, there's a deadline to it. If you answer yes to, do you want to alert the public about an event or a happening? If that answer is yes, then you should seek opportunities in all 3 lanes of media, of self-produced, earned, as well as paid. So for instance, if you are launching a new innovative product, or you have recently published a book, or you've opened a new location, then you will want to create content that you own, because there's certain information that you need to educate people about. Then you also want to dive into earned media. You want to start engaging bloggers. You want to start engaging influencers so that you can leverage their audiences. And then also, you want to do paid advertising for social media. You want to do campaigns where you're getting eyeballs on that information. And the reason this last one is so important is because there are events that come up, right? Your virtual events, your webinars, all things of that nature. If you're going to create a digital strategy, a digital campaign, then you want to do all 3 forms of media. So overall, to find media opportunities in the digital age, you need to align your goals with the right media opportunities of owned, earned, and paid that makes the most sense for what you're looking to accomplish. And of course, we need to talk about pitching and relationship building. So once you align yourself with the right goal and the right media opportunity, then you want to decide, how should I approach this opportunity? What's the best method for me to do? So let's first talk about pitching. When it comes to pitching, that is you making a very direct and specific ask of someone. And this could be you pitching a journalist to do a write-up about your book launch, or a write-up about your new innovative product, or your new location opening. Or it could be with an influencer that you want to work with. But either way, the #1 goal when it comes to pitching is that you have done your research so that you can offer value. The goal of your pitch is to be brief, to be educational, and to be to the point. Because if you've done your research, then you know that the person who you're pitching is really a good fit, and that what you're asking for makes sense for them and it's going to be of value. So next, we want to talk about relationship building and how that's a little bit different. When it's relationship building, these are things that are a little bit longer term. There's not a specific date. You don't necessarily need to pitch someone because you don't have an event coming up. You don't have newsworthy content that needs to go right now. So you want to build a relationship with them by having conversations, talking about, if your goals align. What happens, if you two were able to work together. And yes, you definitely will be pitching the people who you build relationships with, but it's more of a slow burn, a slower process that makes sense to make sure that their brand messaging and your brand messaging are in alignment with each other. So when these come together, that's you finding value. And it's so important that you remember, whether it's pitching or you looking to create relationships, you have to remember that both approaches require that you bring value to the table. You have to make people feel like they're valued, and you're not just asking for something, or you're not just connecting with them because you want something to happen in your favor. You want your business to be seen as valuable. So have some good old conversations and really try to be a resource and bring value to people, whether it is earned or paid media opportunities. So let's touch on leveraging your own content and what that looks like. Thinking through how to create time for yourself, thinking through what digital tools in this landscape will help me to produce results of building my brand awareness. And for me, there are 3 top things that every digital campaign should include, that every time that you are in the online space and you're looking to build up your brand awareness, you should be doing these 3 things. To start, the very first is you want to create stories. Create some evergreen content that really tells your story. Create some evergreen, timeless content that no matter when someone is, being introduced to you, maybe they can go to your website or they can go to your social media. Whatever this own content is, it tells your story. It tells how you got started. It talks about what it is that you offer, particularly in showing case studies, showing people the success that you have had in business and the things that you have done. Also, customer testimonials, those things never get old. So you want to be sure that you're sharing your story online in various ways to let people know that you're the real deal. Next, you want to invite people into your business with automated funnels. What this means is you're mapping out your digital journey for your customers. You're letting them have an experience beyond just your website, beyond just your online store. So you want to start this by, capturing emails when people are at your website, or it could be tracking your customers and kind of seeing how they move about so that you can prepare yourself for better marketing. And this could be with Google Analytics. This could be Facebook Pixels, or it could be text messaging. Ask for their phone number so that you can alert them about sales, special events that you're having. But you want to create a journey for them so that it's not just the one-off, visit my website and it's awesome. But you have to really build in that relationship. And that means you have to create a way to funnel people into your business. The next, streamline your outreach. The goal as a business owner is not to be a publicist. The goal as a business, unless that's your business model, the goal is not for you to be a brand strategist. So if the goal is for you to work smarter and not harder, you need to get some systems and some processes in place for your business that are going to help you with these tasks. So, I said, I'm so thankful for digital technology. That's why. It means that you invest in automated calendar systems so that when that podcast opportunity comes, you aren't going back and forth saying, what date and time works for you. You can just simply and easily schedule your podcast interviews. This could mean how you distribute your media kit. Do you have an automated system set up that's going to send out that information and you don't have to lift a finger? You want to do things like that. So with technology and the ability to streamline, you don't have to stand at a fax machine for hours sending out your messaging. You don't have to call everyone until you can't speak anymore. So having a streamlined process is seriously a game changer for small business. So we have to figure out ways to streamline our process. So do you all now see how traditional PR is pretty much irrelevant and why digital PR is the way to go? Because having a digital PR strategy is especially important during the times of social distancing and the online space growing even more. The ultimate goal of digital PR is for your business to get more eyeballs on it, to get noticed, to start building collaborations and spread the word. We aren't going outside as much. We aren't attending networking events as much. So this is your space. Digital PR helps you to generate your leads. It helps you to attract your potential customers. It helps you to get your brand messaging correct so that it establishes you as a credible expert. So with that being said, I really want to help you guys do this for your business. Small business owners, please go to my website, befriendyourbrand.com. I want to help you level up your awareness. Grab the free checklist. It's going to give you the step-by-step ways to build out your digital campaign, including everything that we talked about today and a few bonuses. But it's going to jumpstart you building up, your brand awareness and what should you do? What are those steps? write this website down. Don't go to it now. We have a Q&A after this, okay? But download this checklist. I really want you guys to know the steps, because with digital PR, there's a ton to do. There are multiple options for you, and every option isn't right for everyone. So you want to grab this checklist. And lastly, before we head to the Q&A session that's coming up next, please be sure that you connect with me on social media. I'm Jamillah _R on Instagram, Jamillah R on LinkedIn. These are my favorite places to hang out in the digital world. So please connect with me there. Drop me a message. Let me know you watched. Let me know, what you learned. So we're going to head into the Q&A, and I can't wait to hear from you all. And we are back.
Thank you, Jamillah. Such great advice. And I know I was taking notes as well. So much here and so many thoughtful questions for us to dive into. So let's start with storytelling to begin with. I know that your zone of genius is getting founders to tell better stories about their products. So can you give us any examples that have really worked in the past? What resonates with an audience, and what makes a story sticky or memorable?
Absolutely. So I love this question because this is my zone of genius. And so if I get too geeky, stop me. So when it comes to telling your story, this is so important in building up your credibility, because now people understand the why behind your business, and they also understand that what you say you offer and what you say that you deliver, you can do. So one of my favorite examples of this is one of my clients that I worked with. They are a beauty brand, and they have natural products. And, when we started working together, one thing that she said was, I don't think that people care about my story. Like, I'm working with you, but I don't know if this is the right thing to do. And with us talking, I got to dive into her story as to why she started the business. And the reason she started the business was because her aunt was diagnosed, her favorite aunt was diagnosed with breast cancer. So she started looking into, what are some natural remedies? What are things that I can offer that are not aluminum-free deodorants and things of that nature, because this could potentially be a cause of breast cancer. And I want to, detoxify my body. So she started doing the research. She started reaching out to chemists and things of that nature. And because of that story, I was like, we need to tell your audience this. Do you know how many people are not educated about the products that we use every day, the chemicals that could be in products that we use? We need to start using your platform to elevate this message. So what we did with her digital campaign was we brought her aunt on camera and she actually told the story of fighting breast cancer and, now using all natural products, and how this has been a game changer for her, her family, her friends. So when you really get into the depths of your story and understanding the why behind your business, people are going to build emotional connections with you. And from that, we did a big campaign for October Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And it went so phenomenal. Her sales went through the roof. She connected with tons of people. She connected with organizations within the breast cancer awareness community that she hadn't even thought were a possibility, all because she got really clear on her story.
I love that, Jamillah. What's the name of the company so we can all follow?
Body and Soul Naturally.
Body and Soul Naturally. All right, we'll check it out. So much of what you said, you can see in our Tory Burch Fellows community. So many of our entrepreneurs have had great PR success because they've led as experts on certain topics, or they've led with their purpose. And so I completely agree with you that stories stick when you're not just like asking for a story, but you're demonstrating your value as an expert. So wonderful advice there. Let's talk about the word pitch, because I know you and I have had conversations that the word pitch is simply a conversation, just that, right? But it can be really intimidating. So I see a number of questions. Cassie is asking, like, how do you pitch to magazine editors? What should your email structure look like that will lead to success of an editor actually opening your email and responding. So any tips there on the pitch?
Yes. When it comes to pitching, again, I want you to think of it as a conversation. But before you think about pitching, before you think about sliding into people's DMs, please, please do your research. Make sure that that journalist is someone who would actually care about what your messaging is. Be sure that that journalist has written about your messaging before. You wouldn't want to pitch, someone who writes about fitness, about your cupcakes, because that's not what they're going to write about. So once you do that research and you make sure that what you have to say is going to be a good fit with that journalist, that editor, or that media outlet, next, you may have something simple to ask like, hey, do you actually write stories about people? If so, this is the case that I want to pitch to you. And then you can go into a formal pitch. And this usually helps a lot, just kind of doing that introduction conversation. That helps a lot when you're reaching out to high profile media outlets. Let's say you're reaching out to a writer at Forbes, or you're reaching out to Entrepreneur. Those outlets, yes, they write, but a lot of times they're picking things that inspire them. So if you're gonna like break their concentration, you have to be sure that it's something that's in alignment with them and it's something that they would do. You don't wanna, as I call it, waste the pitch. If, your first conversation is, hey, I was thinking this thing, and they say no, you can move on. If they say yes, go ahead and deliver your pitch. When it comes to journalists, they are inundated with people who are pitching them because it's so easy to find them on Twitter. There's your answer. If you're looking for journalists, find them on Twitter. But they get so many. So what is the thing that's going to make them open the email? It will definitely be a catchy subject line, but it'll also be you connecting with them. If they're most active on Twitter, start replying to their tweets. Start having conversations with them that have nothing to do with you. Remember, we talked about finding value. So start finding value in their content. Start sharing their content. Start talking about their articles, and then weave in your pitch.
I love it. And is there a site, I'm trying to remember, help a reporter out, because reporters are always looking for stories on key topics, right? So are you familiar with that site, Jamillah?
Yep, helpareporterout.com. If you sign up for their newsletter every 3 times a day, actually, morning, afternoon, and evening, they're going to send you emails from journalists that list out who they're looking for, what topics they're looking for as far as from experts. So if you're an expert in that subject, you can respond. And everything is, what's the word I'm looking for? They don't know who you are. So your pitch has to be good. Everything's anonymous. That's the word I'm looking for. So if everything is anonymous, you have to have a really good pitch. So that means that pitch, when we talked about, it has to be educational, but it also has to be to the point. When you're using Help a Reporter Out, you have to be to the point, educational. You can't include any links in there. So what you write them has to be particularly 1 paragraph, but it needs to give them the information that they need to know in order to make a decision, because you have to remember, with Help a Reporter Out has become really popular. And it's one of the things that everyone tells you to start at, and it helps you really get more comfortable in your pitching. You're competing. That is one of the playgrounds where you compete really tough. Earlier back in the day, when we were talking about traditional PR and how things have changed, that outlet has changed a lot and it's become very competitive. So you have to get crystal clear on your story and how to translate that into a pitch so that journalists decide to rock with you.
Love it. So Abby's asking about persistence, right? So if you email an editor a number of times but don't hear anything, what's generally the best practice? Should you continue to follow up? What's your take on that?
You should continue to follow up. Because when we think about the digital world, there are stories that are going live every single second of the day. So eventually journalists are going to run out of content, or they're going to want to write about something different, or maybe something that has to do with your business. So be persistent. But again, remember, there is the earned media that we talked about, and that's what this lane is. But you should be working on your self-produced content. You should be creating amazing content. So when they do find you, or make it easier for them to find you. So really get into that self-produced own content. And while I know it's super awesome to have that earned media, especially from, you know, those high level media outlets, we also need to stop thinking about traditional PR and start thinking about, how can I make this digital? Even if I don't get that opportunity, how do I ensure that I get other opportunities? How do I ensure that my messaging goes out even if I'm not connected with one of these outlets? So be sure that you are focusing definitely some time on that earned content, but you really want to focus on self-producing content that is amazing for your business, that tells your brand story, that you control.
I know you and I have talked about this whole concept of everyone wants to be on the Today Show or Essence Magazine. And I love your perspective, which is think globally, but act locally, right? So can you talk to us a little bit about the power of regional press and local press and how to go about that process?
Yes, your local and your regional press is going to be gold for you. I'm located in Washington, D.C., and the media outlets here, a lot of times, if they want to get away from politics for a second, they're looking for people. So be sure that your business is primed and ready for those local opportunities. Also, it's much easier to make your own opportunities local. So let's say that you wanted to host a webinar locally and invite people locally. Start looking, you know, who's in your neighborhood, who's in your community. If we're talking about regionally and looking at those type of media outlets, start thinking, how does my business impact this small area of the world? Because those type of press rewards are amazing for your business, because people know that you're actually a real human. You're actually a real business that connects with people locally. So you definitely want to start looking for those opportunities and to connect with markets that are right within your community, instead of us thinking like global PR. Definitely think about, what can I do on a smaller scale and really scale that up for my business.
Miss Harris is asking about getting clear on who your audience is. So can you walk us through, I know if you just pitch, but you don't know who your target demo is, you've kind of missed the point. So walk us through getting really clear and focused on knowing who your audience is.
So when it comes to knowing who your audience is in relations to your digital PR, if you're looking to connect with media outlets, or you're looking for influencers, those are not your audience. Your audience is the people who view that media outlet. So if we're talking about Essence Magazine, who is the most, what type of person is reading the print? What type of person is engaging in their local events? Because while it was closed down this year, Essence Festival, what type of people attend these events? That is your audience, and getting really crystal clear. So when it comes to starting to think about pitching those, you know, you have to think about pitching in accordance to the multiple things that we're going to stick with Essence, that Essence does. If they're doing in-person events, why would that connect with your business? And who's going to be in the audience? Let's say that you attend Essence Festival and you want to pitch yourself for a speaker. Who's going to be in the room? That is your audience. And then getting really crystal clear on your offer is going to be important. Understanding your story is going to be really important. And merging those two. So when we talked about my client before, understanding what in her story was going to pique the interest of her audience, we looked at the factors of, what are people uneducated about when it comes to the chemicals that are in products? What do people suffer from? What are some pain points, or what are some fears that they may have around, you know, breast cancer? And are these things correlated? And how can we talk about it in a way that they understand it? So in that, her audience isn't the media outlet that she's pitching to. Instead, it is the people that are going to watch that interview, the people that are going to read that article about her. So when you're thinking about who your audience is, get clear on your story so that you can own it, and then get clear about why people would care. So the why people would care, that is your audience.
Let's talk social, because we have so many questions about social. Amy's asking, she's never done digital marketing before. She does have a social media account for her business. What are the first 3 things she should do? And feel free to go deep on social.
When it comes to social, again, your 3 lanes are own, earn, and paid. So if you are like, I'm brand new to social, then the first thing you want to do is start creating your own content. Getting on video, for a lot of people, this can feel intimidating. But right now we are in a digital world, and video right now is key. And we see a lot of talk about this because recently Instagram has released a new tool for us. But I want you to look at social media as if it were a tool. So instead of being intimidated by, all the things that happen on social media and seeing all the things that other people are doing, get really comfortable with your social channels. Get really comfortable with either showing up on camera, whether it is you, or showing the behind the scenes of your business, depending on what type of business that you have, but really getting comfortable with sharing with your audience. Social media, the whole point is to be social. Yes, it is a tool, but it's a tool for you to connect with people. So if you're thinking about it as a tool to connect me with people, what things should I be doing? What should I be creating that's going to help people understand what my business is, understand what my business does, understand the background of my business, who I am, the why of my business. And that's the thing that you want to start practicing creating. If you go to my social media channels, I will tell you, you can scroll all the way back to when I started. It wasn't always like this. So don't look at social accounts, that have like tons of followers and, they're posting videos every day and they're showing, their kitchen. You don't have to be that person. The only person that you're in a race with is you. And your goal right now is to learn how to use this tool and how to tell your story. So that is where I would say start. Start by understanding what are my options in this tool and how can I use it to really share my story and connect with others.
Jamillah, I feel like the algorithms are always changing, whether it be for Instagram, Facebook, you name it. And now with Reels. So what should people know from a cadence perspective, just as far as a best practice? So do you need to be posting every day? Folks are asking. What's generally your recommendation as far as how many times?
I am totally off the beaten path. So you guys are just going to get my real for real answer. There's a ton of people that will tell you post 1 million times a day. I don't say that. What I say is create valuable content so that when someone sees your video, or if you decide to boost it with some paid money, it is valuable. So when we get into the habit of just posting because we're trying to beat the algorithm, here's the thing. We will never know the real algorithm unless we are in the tech space working for these companies. And they're constantly changing. And the reason that they're constantly changing is because they're constantly trying to figure out how to keep our attention. So if you're looking to get an audience, build an audience, and retain that audience, create valuable content. That middle bubble between pitching and relationship building. So if you're looking at it from social media is a tool, that relationship building is you creating content that people can connect with. That pitching is letting them know what type of service and business that you offer and why it would be valuable to them. Because you want to find that middle ground that is the finding value, the middle ground that lets people know who you are, but also that you're the perfect person who can help them. So I don't believe in posting all day, every day. And if, like I said before, if you are like, I want more eyeballs on my business, go ahead and get you a paid ad. Pay for it if that's what you need. But if you want to organically grow your audience, if you want to talk to people and really kind of figure out who your audience is, the things that they want, the questions that they have, that starts with just being social.
Can you talk to us about influencers and where you see influencers going for small business owners? Is it useful? Is it too costly? What's your take?
Influencer relationships are going to be key from now until maybe forever, simply because there are people who spend their time on that relationship building aspect of their business. They are really focused on letting their audience understand their lifestyle, understand messaging. They really hone in on that. So as small business owners, if you don't have the time to create all that content, working with the influencer is going to be key, because their entire job is relationship building. So to borrow their audience, it's super awesome for you and for your business to have someone talk about that. So is it too expensive? Not always. I work with influencers every day, and I can say that prices range. And one of the biggest things that I have found that makes a difference is when you find influencers who really align with your brand messaging. If you aren't just looking to pay some, large influencer just because, but you're looking to pay someone in the realm of, here's something that you believe in, here's something that I believe in, then it's more affordable and it's more understanding for your budget. Like, I think that with traditional PR, because of the way that things used to be, a lot of times we would get so caught up in, we just need to pay someone to do it for us, or we need to just, work with an organization who's going to help spread our message. But now, more than ever, you have to be strategic with these relationships. And you also will need to create a budget for it. And if there is no budget for it, you may need to only find people who are doing it for a low cost or maybe even free, because they align so well with your message.
And as far as scaling, because our entrepreneurs are working on operations, they're working on employees and legal and all sorts of key topics to keep their business running. How does one go about finding the right person to support them for PR? And I know we've received a number of questions about what is typically the budget if you're going to hire someone to help support you, whether it be a freelancer or a small PR shop. What are typical budgets?
I love this question, and I'm so happy that I get the chance to answer it. So we have to we have to look at the overall view of what it is that you're looking to accomplish. So when we talked about, finding those 3 lanes, own, earned, paid. When you're looking to hire someone, you want to look at, do they have experience in earned, owned, or paid, or all 3, or maybe just 2. Either way, you want to make sure that it's going to align with the goal that you have. So when we talked about those questions that you want to ask, when those questions you're answering yes or no, you want to think about, does this person have experience to help me with own content? Does this person have experience to help me build out a full digital campaign where we include all 3? Usually, when you're hiring someone, you want someone who has experience in all 3 realms because you're paying for their expertise, right? So with that, you want to find someone who knows how to help you create video sales letters. I call them pitch letters, but videos that are going to share your story, but also create it in a way that it is a pitch. You also want to work with someone who has an understanding of which organizations and which influencers or, other people who are going to spread your message in a third-party format and tell your story for you. Someone who understands that. And then you want to work with someone who understands paid media. And no, you don't have to be a Facebook strategist or expert, but they need to know something, because if you hire a Facebook strategist, you want to be sure that the PR person that you're working with understands what they're talking about. So in the world of digital PR, you really want to find someone who is well-versed in all 3 lanes. And that can come with, You know, if you're finding a freelancer and what budget should be included there, freelancers are going to be, actually, I don't want to say that they're cheaper, because it depends on which expertise that you're really looking for. And then there is working with small boutique PR agencies. And with these people, small boutique PR agencies, they usually specialize in a certain thing. So you want to be sure that what you're looking for is something that they specialize in and something that they have done in the past. And then we look at large PR agencies and firms, and these are the Edelmans of the world. And with those, you have to know that is a 5-figure a month budget. And it's simply a 5-figure a month budget because they have contacts that I don't have. They have contacts that most boutique firms do not have. So let's say that you are a entrepreneur within the tech realm. That may be what you need in order to reach, you know, certain media outlets and do certain things. So you have to be clear before hiring anyone what your goal is. What do you want to happen? And it can't be something generic like, I want to grow my business, so I'm going to hire a PR firm. Get really clear on what it is that you want. And then when you have the conversation to engage them, you can say, hey, here's this thing that I really want to happen. Can you do this? Can you create a plan to do this? I think that with traditional PR, we were so used to PR agents and publicists really kind of being the gatekeepers because they had the media contacts. But now, like I said, all journalists are on Twitter. You can reach them, but you have to be strategic. So if you're hiring someone to do this, are you paying for the relationship? Are you paying for the expertise? Or are you paying for the labor? So if you're trying to create a digital PR campaign and it is labor intensive, expect more of a price. So when you're looking at a budget, let's say you're working in the freelance world, let's start at $500. And then if we are going to the highest of PR agencies, the highest that I have heard has been $30,000 per month. So that is a very wide range. So the best thing that you can do is, instead of worrying about what other people charge, figure out what your budget can handle. Figure out from this budget, how can I make my goal happen? That thing that you're going to them about, making sure that they can do it on that budget. And then also asking, is there going to be, you know, the need for me to add to this budget? Because a lot, there may be, you may need to hire this agency, but also pay for paid social media ads. So think about your budget and get really clear on what you can spend, how you can spend, and if there's any wiggle room should it need to come into place.
And being really clear about deliverables, right? Because we've had so many entrepreneurs who have hired folks and maybe they're not happy with the outcome. And oftentimes it comes down to being super, super clear about what you expect from this relationship, whether it be a freelancer or a small shop. We have a question from Savannah about your point about streamlining systems. So what software systems or programs are out there that you love that help you automate things and make life simpler from a process standpoint?
Absolutely. My favorite is ClickFunnels. ClickFunnels is a sales process that takes people into having an experience with your business. It's how you streamline your process of people finding you online. Maybe it's on social media. Maybe it is actually at an in-person networking event. They go to your website. What type of experience are you building for them in the digital world? So my favorite is ClickFunnels. I am a ClickFunnels expert, so of course I would say that. But there's also tons of other things that you also need to consider. We talked about streamlining your processes as far as like scheduling and calendars. Purchase some type of software. I use OneHub, but I previously used Acuity, Calendly, you name it. I try everything and I see what works best for me. So I don't give like specific recommendations, but you need to have something that is managing your calendar, creating an easy way for people to book you for a podcast or people to book you for a sales call. Then there's also streamlining, giving away freebies and collecting information from your audience. And we talked about that. And that could be, you creating a freebie for your website and you're collecting emails so that you can start emailing them further information about your business. It could be text messaging. So when it comes to creating a streamlined process, really think about what gaps are in my business that I can offer that can be digital. What things can I do that is an automated process that makes it easy for me not to have to email 100 people or go back and forth on emails? What, as a business owner, would save me time if I purchase some type of software that's going to alleviate those pains of standing at a fax machine for hours?
How about how far ahead should you plan? We've had a number of folks ask that question, and you want to be relevant, right? That you can be flexible to change, but what recommendations do you have as far as calendar planning?
So you guys know the holidays are coming up. At the time of this, we are in September. We're heading into Black Friday. We're heading into the holiday Christmas season of sales. If you're going to be pitching, you've got you've got next week to start thinking. Yeah, you got to get on a ball. You have to start thinking ahead. And for digital PR, one good grace about digital PR is when you're looking for online media outlets. Yes, they're planning their holiday content, but you have a little bit more space, especially if you're pitching a really good story. You have a little bit more space and freedom, and it's not tied to when are the magazines going to press, when are we rolling this out, for a photo shoot and things of that nature. So with digital PR, you have the opportunity of more time freedom from these outlets. If you are pitching for print magazine, and I want to say, please, everyone, still support traditional media. I love print magazines. I don't want them to go out of style. I love flipping through a gloss print. So with that being said, if you are pitching for something like that, something that has to be printed at a certain time, then you want to look at their editorial calendars. Most large media outlets include that on their website. It'll be in the fine print at the bottom of the website. And in there, they will tell you, what topics are we going to be publishing in September, November, December. And that's how you formulate your pitch and find that time. But if it is an online outlet, if you're pitching for a specific time frame, such as the holidays, now is the time. But if you're just pitching to get your brand noticed by this outlet, any time is appropriate. Being persistent, and then knowing when is not an appropriate time to pitch is also going to be very helpful. If there is national news, and right now we're kind of caught up in the storm of national news, whether it is politics or pandemic, know that your story may not rise to the top just because there's so many other things that have to be covered. So giving yourself grace, giving journalists grace, giving the media outlets grace, and knowing that things are not maybe going to happen right now, right away. Give yourself grace and just know it is a process that does take time, but it also is a process that can happen overnight.
I couldn't agree more, Jamillah. There's so much news out there right now, whether it be the election or the pandemic. But I'm still hopeful that journalists really want positive news to keep us all going. So I'm hopeful that everyone can hold on to that and share their story during these really crazy times. We could talk all day. So before we go, I just have a few more questions. One is, you talked about customer testimonials, and what's the best approach to secure those, use those, and really spotlight the great work that your customers feel around your business?
Talking about my own practice personally, I'm a service-based business owner. So with that, for me, the best time for me to get testimonials is in the midst of that service or right at the end. Customers testimonials are hugely important because they give you credibility. They let people understand and see themselves as that person getting the service from you. If you are a product-based business, having customer reviews is hugely important too, because you want to showcase people using your products. So the best way to do that is to make an ask your pitch your customers. Pitch your customers to ask them, hey, what did you think about my product? Are you willing to write a review? Even give incentives. The business that we talked about earlier, we gave incentives for people to give us video testimonials. Again, video is king right now. And getting people to get on video is not an easy feat. So you have to plan out a strategy that's going to make sense for your customers in order to give you a testimonial. But testimonials, Yelp reviews, Google reviews, they are going to be a lifeline for your business, because people want to know that what they get and what they pay for is actually going to be a value to them. And even more of value, it's going to be worth the money that they invest with you.
So ask, make sure you're asking. It's such a critical part of marketing and PR. I can't believe we're out of time, but before we go, what's the one thing you want everyone in our community to take away, to implement into their business and further scale through PR?
So with this question, I'm thinking it's somewhere between my two catchphrases of everything is a pitch and don't just be a business owner, be the expert. So I think I'm probably going to go with that one. Overcome being seen as just another business. Be the expert. Actually let people know that you know your stuff, that they can rely on you, that they can trust you. You want to have a trustworthy brand if you want longevity in business.
Jamillah, thank you so much. This has been incredible. I know everyone's going to want to follow you and stay in touch. Can you remind everyone one more time how to do that?
Yes, right on the screen, you see my name, Jamillah_R on Instagram and Jamillah R on LinkedIn, the easiest, my favorite places to connect. Please connect with me on social media. I would love to chat with you all.
Wonderful, thank you. And a pitch is just a conversation. So thanks for removing all of the intimidating factors that we've all had around this topic. It's been so useful. Thanks everyone for joining. We hope that we'll see you on the 30th for our Ask Me Anything. We're going to talk through all of your most pressing financial questions with two leading experts. So be sure to sign up for that session. And I really hope that you'll share this program with other business owners in your community so that we can help even more people. As always, we treasure your feedback, so please take just a quick minute to fill out the survey. Let us know what you thought of today, what was helpful, what other topics would you like to see in the future, because again, we designed this whole program around you, and that's why we're here. We also recorded today, so be sure to check out our YouTube channel. You can certainly watch today and all of our past episodes on Tory Burch Foundation YouTube. And be sure to check out torybirchfoundation.org, because we have so many tools and resources for you, whether it be SEO and figuring out how to build the right plan, marketing, e-commerce, all of these free toolkits are on our site just for you. And I think I hit on everything. Make sure you take your photo of today and tag us at Tory Burch Foundation for a chance to be featured on our Instagram. And thank you, everyone. This has been so wonderful. We're thrilled to be back and look forward to your feedback. Be well.